Okay, so it did show up this time, but it is saying the upcoming thing that it does. I'll give it just a second to get itself together. Oh, okay, no, it's live. It seems to be working.
Okay, good. We love
And I can hear
technical difficulties.
Always.
Dread it, run from it, the technical difficulties will always arrive.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's live and we sound good. I'm a good amount louder than you, I think, but we're both pretty clearly audible.
Okay, that's good.
Okay, never mind. I moved my microphone a little bit farther away, and now that I feel like I got us more even now. Excellent.
Sweet.
All right, so I'll just send this link out a couple places real quick, and then we will get started with our official beginning intro for everyone. And the Discord of the league. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Grand Prestige League. We are in the Season 6 finale, Round 8 here at Interlagos in Brazil, Sao Paulo, Brazil, and we have an absolute banger on our hands here, as not only is this the season finale, but our two championship leaders are virtually tied in first place. So this race is going to be winner takes all between Nuco and Illusion. And not only that, to spice it up, it's going to be a sprint race format today. So that means we're going to do our qualifying session as normal. And then just afterwards, they're going to be a reverse grid sprint race based on those qualifying positions. And then a full race just after. So there's lots of points left on the table for these drivers to make a difference in their final standings in the championship. And I am joined, as always, by Rekus, and we are going to get underway.
Indeed, yeah, we're gonna get underway here very, very soon. Thank you guys so much for popping on in, and happy Mother's Day to everyone here today. I'm pretty sure none of these drivers are mothers, but yeah. I'm sure, just go ahead and wish your moms a happy Mother's Day. I mean, I can't speak for everyone, but I know my mom works extremely hard all the time. And yeah, just show your mom some love today. Take her out to eat. At minimum, just get her a card.
Absolutely. Happy Mother's Day to everyone's mothers, and shout out to my own mother. She has done a lot for me to make this possible for me, just life in general, of course. So thank you to my mother, and shout out to everyone else's mothers as well. Yeah, Whiteout reminding me I got to do my Bruce Buffer. I'll do a Bruce Buffer when we start the qualifying session.
Okay, I'm not aware of this Bruce Buffer thingy that is being referred to.
I gotta do the Let's Get Ready to Rumble.
Ah, yes. I mean, it's a perfect time to do it because, like you said earlier, season finale. The championship rivals are virtually tied for that lead in this championship. Obviously, we still have the drop rounds to consider, and then we have a sprint and a feature race today on probably one of the most iconic tracks in the world. I mean, almost every racing series has Interlagos there somewhere, and a lot of times it's the finale. So, I mean, it's a very good track, a very mixed track. And while we're going ahead and waiting, I'll go ahead and bring up the track details as per usual. We are here at the Autodromo de Interlagos in Sao Paulo, Brazil. 2.678 miles, 4.309 kilometers round, 15 turns. It is considered a mid-speed track by Gran Turismo. So, granted, we don't use BOP here, like we used to, but If it was bouncer performance enabled, it would be a mid-speed setting, so you would get a perfect mix of downforce and top speed. I mean, this track really does have it all. I mean, you got massive straights going into turn 1 and then from turns 3 and 4, and then you have a really tricky technical section from turn 6 all the way to turn 15, so...
Yeah, that's right. This is a really interesting circuit, and it requires some high-level driving, and... not only that, but it's a track where you can battle everywhere on this track. There's not a lot of places where there's not an overtaking opportunity. However, just based on the kind of nature of the corners, there is a lot of dirty air, especially in the middle sector, the high-speed right-hander. There's a lot of dirty air, so it can be difficult to close in on your opponent ahead. But if you are in striking distance, you can overtake absolutely anywhere on this track.
Indeed, yeah, and another thing to know too is that this track, like you said, this track is very wide. I mean, compared to the last round in Tokyo, where it's kind of a skinny-ish track in most parts of it. I mean, obviously you have that massive underpass straightaway on Tokyo Expressway, but it's still a pretty skinny track. This track is very wide. I'm pretty sure the pit lane on this track is wider than some of the tracks we visited over the course of the season. And I mean, that's saying something. This is probably one of the best tracks to have a season finale on, and a sprint. This track is never boring. It can be chaotic, but never boring.
Absolutely, bro. I had to mute myself because what Whiteout saying in the chat here, absolute diabolical comments from the chat, already providing entertainment for us today. I don't know if I could, I know for a fact I can't repeat that actually, but good on you, Whiteout. Feel free to express yourself. That's what we're here
for. Some scruffy Portuguese, yeah. That's fair. I mean, it's better than the one time I tried to speak Dutch on a live stream. That did not go well at all.
I wouldn't even try Dutch.
Yeah, I tried to speak Dutch for a Dutch Grand Prix stream I did. The less said about that, the better.
I'm down to do like a sentence or two in Japanese, but that opportunity came and passed already at Tokyo.
I mean, doing speaking Japanese at a Brazilian track.
Yeah, it wouldn't work unless you're Igor Fraga.
Yeah, well, there you go. That's probably the only individual on this planet that can pull it off. He got a podium in Super Formula recently from what I've seen. Yeah, like not virtual, like the actual Super Formula.
That's incredible.
Yeah, I think he got, I forget what track he was at. It might have actually been Suzuka that he got a P3 at, or no. It might have been Fuji. I'd have to go back and look at it, but we're about to go ahead and get ready here to kick off the final qualifying session of the WEC here. And the GPL, it is going to be absolutely fantastic. Season 6 for WEC is about to wrap up. And we got one more qualifying session and 2 more races left to go. A sprint and a feature. And it's going to be insane.
Absolutely. And to the point on Igor Fraga real quick too, just to say, like, he is an absolute testament of the skill level that the drivers in this game have, because he was a full-time Gran Turismo driver at the highest level in this game, and now, sheerly from doing that, he is now a real-life racing driver in Super Formula in Japan, and he is doing really well. Extreme legit, good-ass drivers. And now we will go and begin our qualifying session for today, enabling all the on-screen information as these guys are shuffling out of the pit lane as quickly as they can. Now, track position is important for qualifying too, so you're going to want to be out ahead or in your own space as much as possible. Now, you can kind of battle for track position a little bit on your outlap, but it doesn't look like we're going to see that. The gaps are pretty decent at the moment.
Yeah, because like you said, dirty air is atrocious on this track, so I mean, you're going to want to be out in a space where you're either like way out in front of everyone, or you're way behind everyone, you really just want that clean air. And especially because you can get some pretty decent toes here, especially from the exit of turn 12. Once you go ahead and begin that massive straightaway on the backstretch near the start-finish straight. But another thing to kind of note is that we do have some pretty decent wind here today. It is 13.2 feet per second going in the southeast direction. So that's going to present a little bit of a challenge, particularly in turns 8, 9, and 10. Just that little squiggly section in Sector 2. And it's going to be really interesting to see how today's race plays out. So much on the line here. I mean, granted, the team's championship isn't too much of a contest at this stage, just because EXO has done extremely well in the team's championship for WC. But like you said earlier, the driver's championship is all to play for here.
Absolutely. It's basically a head-to-head battle directly between Nuco and Illusion, and whoever comes out on top between the two relative to each other is most likely going to come away with a driver's championship at the end of the day. And so, yeah, so much to play for. And the wind direction, like you mentioned, too, it plays a big factor here because of just how many tight, super technical corners there are. If you lose downforce into some of them, it can really compromise the rotation in your car. And quick rotation is the name of the game with the way you set your car up for this track. This track is probably the most unique as far as the setup that you have to get on your car in order to perform it optimally. Especially on the gearbox side, I've noticed a completely different feeling gearbox and wing levels to pretty much every other track we've been on this season. Usually favors really low downforce or really long gearboxes, whereas this one is a lot shorter gears and a lot more of an aggressive aero balance where the front wing is really high opposed to the low rear wing. And at least that's how I've seen a lot of these guys set their car ups.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense because you do have some really high-speed corners on this track, so obviously you want you to be able to get that car to rotate as much as possible. You want to have your rear end snap out a bit, especially during the tricky S's in the final part of this track. But yeah, I mean, and actually I did make a bit of an understatement, or a bit of an overstatement actually. The team's championship is still very well up for grabs. There are 3 teams that are mathematically still within grasp of winning this championship, because obviously the drop rounds are not a factor for the teams like it is for the drivers. So I mean, it would take a lot. EXO does have a massive advantage. The EXO Aston Martin Racing team has 289 points ahead from Toyota Gazoo Racing with 270, and then we have Porsche Motorsport with 162. Now, granted, it would likely have to be a 1-2 finish for any of these teams, and the EXO drivers would have to finish no higher than, I would say, 5th and 6th. For the championship to be decided for the teams in any way but EXO. But the drivers' standings, there was only 2 points separating Nuco and Illusion, 185 to 183. So whoever wins this race, or whoever finishes ahead in this race, is very likely to win that championship, just like you said.
Absolutely, yeah. And I see we have King No Skill back in Grand Prestige League for the first time in a really long time, too, filling in at High Caliber Racing. And so it's really good to see King. We were just talking about DRL just before the stream started, King's own new Super Formula League that he is organizing. And so it's good to see him on track, though, back where it all started in GPL. A champion in his own right as well, FGT champion in Season 4 of FGT, actually also for EXO. He was my teammate in that series. That was my league debut for league racing in general, and he was my teammate, and yeah, he showed me a lot, and just an absolutely incredible, very, very talented driver. He's since retired, and we always make jokes about in the server about King No Skill in the retirement home, but he is out of retirement for today. He threw away the walker and picked up a steering wheel. They're in that high
it's always good to see good to see returning talent, especially one with such a history as King here, the driver in the high caliber racing machine. Yeah, I mean, high caliber has had the greatest of seasons, but so far I think they have a lot to learn, or they have a lot that they can learn from how the season went, and it can translate into the mini-series going into the off-season, and then also Season 7 of the Grand Prestige League. So you got to always look at like every downfall as a chance to improve. Every issue is a learning opportunity. Failure is the greatest teacher. Although, speaking on the term of Mother's Day, I know mothers have also been a really good teacher for probably a lot of us in this field, but so far, I mean, King could really turn around high caliber's fortunes here. Taking a look at their standings in the championship, obviously they're not the highest level. They're currently P6 out of 7 teams. They're kind of in a spot where no matter, even if King wins this race, I don't think they're going to be able to exit P6, but I mean, still, it's always good to see those the retired talents come out of retirement and, like you say, just dispose of the walker and get a steering wheel and just go at it, as we're down to the final 3 minutes of quali here.
Yeah, and I do think High Caliber is a better team than what the standings are showing too. They definitely didn't maximize the potential of the performances that they have. They have some talented drivers on that team. They're mostly plagued by, I would say, absences in attendance, and that really hurts you over a season especially. And now, as you say, only a few minutes left in this qualifying session, and I don't know if Illusion has a representative time on the board. The purple sector straight away. Oh, actually, purple lap now just being set by Whiplash of Foxhound Racing, a 1:12.3. That's a good lap time. But now we're going to see what Illusion can do as he is rounding the final corner of the track, as he is about to cross the line. And it is still P5. Now, these are actually really close margins. He's only 0.3 away from pole position, and yet he is P5. This is extremely tight between these guys right now. But he is on a second consecutive flying lap, and he will have even less fuel on board this time. His tires are even more warmed up. So this lap, if he nails it, could be even faster. He is on a personal best at the moment after Sector 1, but it is not quite purple.
I mean, it's a 0.2 improvement, so he'll rocket up the standings, because he is only 13 hundredths away from Nicholas Boita in P4 at the moment. He's going through the tricky final sector of this track. We'll see what he can go ahead and do. He's going to put pedal to the metal now. And this is probably the most crucial pole position of the entire season for Illusion. He's only 2 points ahead of his championship rival. So if Nuko gets the advantage, he aborted!
No, that's crazy.
The lap. Oh, that is
okay. He's probably maybe he knew he wasn't going to get pole and just wants to make sure he has enough time to get an outlap done so that he can make at least one more attempt. I'm going to check really quick how much time we have. We have 52 seconds left. I don't know if that's going to be enough time for an outlap.
I don't know, but it will put him in a bit of a better spot for the sprints because of the reverse grid. So
absolutely.
I mean, he can try to maximize points that way, but the big points are in the feature race.
Yeah, now he has a little bit of lap traffic too here. I'm not sure if Teo Iceman is on a fast lap or an outlap.
Whiplash just had a big spin.
Unfortunate for him.
Yeah, I'm actually looking at a replay now of Whiplash having a bit of an unfortunate moment going into... Was it turn 2?
Oh,
no, that's turn 2 right there. And... oh, yeah, it was just turn 3. Took a little too much curb and got into the grass, and that is Whiplash's qualifying done and dusted.
Oh, this is devastating for Illusion because he aborted his outlap. I think he realized that being behind Teo Iceman, he's not going to be able to get across the line. So that is huge, massive implications for the entire season's championship based on 0.3 of a second. That's what an entire season of effort comes down to, is 0.3.
Yeah. If you heard a bird in the background, that is the honorary co-commentator of Peeps. He has popped in for a few streams. This is actually his last GPL stream that this lovely commentary parakeet is going to be with us for. So I have actually taken some courses, learned how to translate parakeet to English, But he says that, yeah, Lucian just unfortunately just not getting the qualifying that he needed, but he's got the pace to really make up some positions here. We've seen him do it in the past, and we can probably see him do it now, especially because everything is on the line here.
Oh, as Nuko actually just asserts himself in taking the provisional pole position. I don't know if we even have anyone else. Real quick. So. I don't think so, yeah. I think that is pole position for Nuko.
Artura's on a flyer.
All right, well, Artura, let's see if Artura can get pole position here. It is not. He is a P10.
Yeah, but I mean, this was a crucial qualifying, and Nuko actually did get pole position. He stole it by 81/100th of a second. That is a crucial pole position there for Nuko. The Frenchman, I mean, granted, he is not in a good spot for the sprints because of the reverse grid. He'll start from 11th on the grid, but where the big points are, he'll start from the front of the grid.
Absolutely.
While Lucian will start in the middle of the grid for both races. So, yeah.
That's going to be a really interesting position for Illusion. You know, and Nuko in the chat, too, letting us know that that was a great lap he did. That was no accident. That was a really good lap. And definitely agree, that was an incredible lap time that he set. So congratulations to Nuko on the most important pole position of the season. And also, and it looks like this session is completed. We're just waiting for the final 10 seconds of runoff, and then we will have your qualifying results.
Yeah, so we're going to go and take a look at just how this qualifying session rounded out. It is going to take a bit of a moment because they have to reset the lobby for a reverse grid for the sprint race. So bear with us. Myself and B23 will go ahead and have one of our typical yap sessions and talk about what comes to mind until... Oh, yep, okay, there it is. I thought he was about to start the race, but I was like, nope, never mind. That is a reset. The race was canceled. Obviously, we have to reset the grid for the 12-lap sprint up ahead. So, I know that we're having a new off-season coming up, or like a new off-season series, which is rumored to be LMP1. So, in general, right, if you are a team captain, well, actually, here, I'll put a different question out there for you. If you were an organizer for this series, would you allow the GR1s or like the VGT GR1s to compete?
Now, that's an interesting one. I think it depends on which one, because some of them are a bit more realistic than others. And so I would say that if it actually comes across, like kind of vibes-wise, as being a genuine, like LMP looking, feeling car, then I would say yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's a possibility. I mean, in general, I mean, the VGTs aren't usually super overpowered compared to some of the other ones. Now, some of the ones that you can buy at the Legends dealer, oh yeah. I was actually kind of doing some just freebie commentary just on a stream at one time, just commentating for random open lobbies, which is something I actually really need to do again at some point. But, yeah, I need to, there was a race that was around the Daytona Oval, and it was between the Mazda VGT and the Mazda 787B. And the 787B just beat the brakes off of the VGT. The VGT stood no chance in that top speed. So, I mean, the VGTs do usually have better handling, but sometimes they kind of lack in a top speed area. So, yeah, it'll be kind of interesting to see how that kind of situation will play out. But what car would you like to use if there was kind of no restrictions on GR1s?
You know what? Based on what Jesse just said in the chat and what you said, you both convinced me. No VGTs. I probably would have a very limited selection of, like, here's the cars you can pick from. If it were me, though, my go-to LMP car is the Toyota, the 2021 Toyota, not the 2016 one. That 2021 Toyota Gazoo racing machine is that's a beast in a straight line, especially. I raced against the Audis in that. The Audis were way faster in the corners, but the straight line speed, it wasn't even comparable. It was incredible. Yeah,
just don't use the 2016 the Don't use the 2016 Toyota because as Lucian actually found out from doing a 24 hours of spa race yesterday, that car burns through battery like no man's business.
Yeah, Illusion, Whiteout, and
I think Yuki was part of it
Artura
too.
as well.
Oh,
Yeah,
Artura,
so
yeah.
a lot of guys that are here in that high caliber car in the Enduro GT League, they realized, yeah, that battery life is not good in the 2016 version of that Toyota. It just doesn't recover battery in the same way the Audi can. Okay, it looks like they are putting R's in the chat to indicate that the drivers are ready to begin a reverse grid sprint race.
All right, yeah, and I mean, I commented. We both actually had the pleasure of commentating for part of that race. We were in different sprints or stints though, but yeah, I mean, the stint I saw with Illusion, I mean, that Audi was just beating the brakes off of the Toyota, which is unfortunate because we know Illusion is quick. Otherwise, he wouldn't even be in this championship fight. But yeah, it's gonna be. I mean, it was a fun race. I was glad to commentate it. Unfortunately, I was only able to do one stint just because I was gonna want to save at least part of my voice box for today's race. Because I mean, this is the season finale for the World Elite Championship here at the Grand Prestige League. So I mean, obviously, you want to give it our all. But yeah, it was a lot of fun to commentate that race. Shout out to Enduro GT for giving myself and B23 the opportunity to compete, and yeah, it was actually a lot of fun. There's also some SWT drivers that were there as well.
Yeah, there were some
I'm not
familiar
sure who they're talking
faces
about.
from
Him is in.
GPL. Wait, him is in. Are you checked into the?
I mean, I'm not racing, but trust me, you do not want to see me race in this super Formula car.
Maybe he isn't aware that you're the commentary.
I've been commenting for the whole season. How does he not know I exist? I'm kidding.
Yeah, for real.
I'll just let him know in chat. Oh, all right, we're about to get going.
All right.
All right, I'll let you go ahead and take the race start for the sprint.
All right, and then that's a fair trade. I'll let you have the main race start then. In that case.
Yep. Simply lovely, and we're gonna go ahead and get on into it.
Let's pull up all the info so that we can see when these lights come on. As soon as those lights turn back off, we are going to be racing here in Interlagos, Sao Paulo, Brazil, the season finale of Grand Prestige League. Here we go. Lights are on, and the lights are off, and the season finale has begun. Oh, a huge move from an Exo car. It was Yuki. Excellent launch from Yuki as we're going 5 wide into turn 1. This is dangerous.
Oh!
Yeah, Yuki actually gets shuffled off the track, unfortunately. He had a really good launch, but not a good turn 1. Teo Iceman retains the lead, but King up into P2 already in that high-caliber machine. There's a battle just behind for P3 between Artura and Fennec in the between the BMW and that Foxhound machine. And Artura doing a really good job at maintaining P3 there. Illusion already making good ground up. He's in P5 at the moment with Nuko and P8. Those are the two that we're going to want to keep an eye on relative to each other, regardless of how this race is going elsewhere. We're always going to want to keep an eye on Illusion and Nuko.
Yeah, Nuko did go ahead and do the swap with his teammate. I mean, we know Florian Gaze is a very talented driver as well. A very strong driver with Deadeye Racing over in Formula GT last season, but he knows that his teammate is in a very close fight for the championship, so he wouldn't defend at all against his teammate. Which, I mean, if you're a teammate with, unless you're both fighting for a championship, then that's a bit of a different ballpark. But if your teammate is on, like, within, like, striking distance of a championship and you're not, just usually the teammates will just let him go and just go fight for the championship. Nuko, who started at P11, though, is up a few positions. He's now up in a P6 after a very good move around the outside. On to Nicholas Boyton. Now he's going to burn the overtake and try to catch up to the cars up ahead. He's already almost right next to, he's a little bit close to Illusion, not a lot. Illusion is actually up into P3 already. Oh, I got Teo Iceman, or AKFAGR letters, and then King. So he's only got 2 more cars ahead to really pass, as Iceman was trying to make a cool move around the outside of the corner. Unfortunately, just it did not stick. But if you were Illusion at this stage of the race, would you either, try to burn every bit of tire life that you can and just push to no end? Or would you try to moderate it a bit and maybe wait for Iceman or King to mess up?
Yeah, I mean, both our championship leaders here making extreme amounts of moves in the opening stage. They're already P3, P4, but as you're saying, what I would probably do is around a track like this, you really got to ease the tires into the optimal window. You can push like crazy, but in the beginning warm-up phase of the tires, it's really important to not overcook them too early or in an unbalanced manner so that you can get a balanced wear throughout your whole stint so that you can still have good rotation and confident grip levels into these corners by the time you're at the end of the stint. And I do believe the soft tire will last just about the whole 12 laps. And I think that they're going to be kind of struggling by the end of the stint, though. So I would kind of ease into the warm-up phase, but you don't necessarily want to compromise your pace. As Illusion making so many moves.
Nuko had a slide. He recovered it, but Nuko had a bit of a slide there on corner exit. Once again, that turn 9 just catching a few of these drivers off guard. So, yeah, that's a big moment. But once again, I mean, sorry to cut you off. But Illusion and Nuko were pretty much, I mean, they're pretty close to each other even now. Nuko has made up several positions. He's up in the P4 now.
Yeah, Illusion making an attempt to close in on our race leader, being king in that high caliber car. These are both, everyone's in a really good position right now. 10 points up to grab for this sprint race, which means that the gaps between points finishing positions here is only 1 point each. Within one position of each other, the difference in points scored is only 1 point. So that they would go into the next race, the main race, still virtually tied.
Indeed, and at this stage, it is only going to be 3 points between them now if they were to finish in this formation. But, I mean, there's still a lot that can happen here. We're only about a fourth of the way through, a quarter of the way through, as my feathery co-commentator is going ahead and dropping in some comments himself. I will go ahead and translate. He was saying that, these soft tires are indeed going to last, but it's going to be a slippery slope for a lot of these drivers, especially in the tricky elevation changes of the first sector, which I agree, I mean, the soft tires will make it because this track doesn't really burn through tires as much as, say, like a Barcelona or some other tracks that we have visited, but it's still going to be a tough task to get these soft tires all the way to the end, as Illusion does get the fastest lap of this race now.
Yeah, and earlier in the lap, Alex making a good move on to Artura, a.k.a. Nemesis there in the BMW, filling in for Comer. And, yeah, what a race it has been already shaping up here. Now the gaps are beginning to stabilize a little bit. We actually have a little bit of a battle here for P4 between Boita and Teo Iceman, although I would back Boita as having a bit more pace, so I don't know if Teo Iceman will be able to close this gap and make it a real fight. But just behind Teo Iceman is Whiplash, who also is a very pacey driver, as we saw in Quali, holding provisional pole position for most of the session as he gets past in the hairpin. Good work from Whiplash, clean move made, and he made it stick.
Indeed, yeah. I mean, these Porsche drivers have had some really good pace in recent weeks. Obviously, they had a very entertaining battle during Tokyo Expressway 2 weeks ago, and that was a very intense race to watch. I mean, the two Porsches were always in the mix, and yeah, it's just really interesting to see. Some of these drivers have really evolved in their driving since the start of the season. I mean, a driver I will point out is one of the Porsches of Alex, who is going to go ahead and just resume P7. He got past Yuki there.
We had a battle in the back, a 3-car battle in the back at turn 1, and Artura ends up off the track a bit and losing 2 positions as a result. Fennec on to Flaring Aces now for P9. And this is a good battle here. Everyone seems to be on their overtake. There's only 12 laps in this sprint race here, so you got to burn as it looks like Artura, it goes from bad to worse as he picks up a track limit penalty, half a second there. I'm seeing two battles at the same time here going on between Fennec flaring aces, and then just ahead we got Yuki and Alex kind of fighting it out as well. It looks like Alex getting past Yuki for P7.
Yeah, as Whiteout said in chat, that this is fireworks in the making between these two. And honestly, given maybe next season, the next time we're here in Super Formula, I think Alex and Yuki are going to fight quite a bit. These are two budding talents here in GPL. They both have had a very fantastic learning season, as Alex is sending one way up the inside of Iceman there. It looked like he even smacked the wall a bit on the corner entry there to go in and make that move stick. So that's a fantastic overtake from Alex, and Alex has really developed as a driver throughout the entirety of the season. I remember in the GT500 series, the first series I commentated here at GPL during the last off season, we always joked about Alex being always involved in these turn 1 incidents, and you know, if there was a turn 1 incident, Alex had a 107% chance of being involved in it. But now he has been a multiple race winner this season, and he's been at least a mostly consistent threat to the podium in most races this season. So, and also, he's also been doing some GT3 racing on the side as well, and he's been doing fantastic in GT3 races. So Alex has really developed a lot as a driver in recent times. Same with Yuki. I would not be surprised if we saw Yuki and Alex fighting for championships at some point in the near future.
Yeah, absolutely. And he has improved, and I think his driving style in general has matured. He's taking a bit more of a strategic approach to these races as the season has gone on. I've been talking to him a little more as the season has continued, and yeah, I've noticed a big jump in his development, not only on track, but with his mentality as well, and that makes a huge difference when you're racing at such a high level and the margins are so small. Just a little shift in your mentality can make the difference between getting podiums and fighting for race victories and just being in no man's land. And so shout to him. He was just a raw talent, and now he's finally starting to refine his skills and get the most out of that talent that he's always had. Indeed,
it's been a really good season for a lot of these drivers. I'm really excited to see how these drivers are going to develop, and especially if they do go to some other series, like I was talking about with Alex earlier. Getting into some GT3 racing, and I mean, he's been doing pretty fantastic over there. What is also fantastic is we are getting a old versus new, you know, legend versus young gun, although I don't know exactly how old Lucian is compared to King, but the old champion versus the current champion, or current championship leader. And yeah, this is a fight for the lead in the sprint. A driver that came out of retirement not too long ago, or actually just for this race, and Lucian's going to try to fire it around the outside. Is he going to get the move done? No, not quite. King, with that experience, holds that inside line around this track. He's been around this neighborhood 100 times before. He knows Interlagos like the back of his hand, and this man is going to fight tooth and nail, even though he has not competed a single race in this championship this season. Yeah, we've seen a couple of one-off glory runs from the likes of Comer, and this seems to be the same thing. So if this track is such that it brought King out of retirement, he must really like this track and be super confident here. We're nice to everyone here, Willie, and it's okay. Yeah, shout out to William Boita in the we do bullying every now and then, but for the most part we're really nice to these drivers. Shout out to William Boita in the chat, brother of Nicholas Boita, who is in P4 at the moment. The Brazilian doing a good job in his natural habitat of P4, just maintaining his tires, maintaining his overtakes, still with a decent amount. I've noticed too that these drivers have been burning a lot of their overtake, and a lot of them by like lap 7 are already completely out of their overtake. We're at lap 10 of 12 now, and so these guys are going to start burning up all the rest of the overtake that they have left here. Yeah, because sometimes the thing I've noticed too is that like some drivers that compete in multiple different championships, they get more practice and they also can adapt to different conditions a bit quicker than some drivers that may stick to just one series. Now, granted, the Super Formulas are very tricky. Excuse me, they're very tricky cars in general, so obviously practicing with them the most. But the thing with competing in multiple different series is that you get exposure on multiple different tracks. Like last week, Alex was in a race that he was on St. Croix B, which is a track we haven't used. But if it's a track that we use in future seasons, it'll be a track that will be in recent memory. He'll kind of have that in the back of his mind. And I know it's probably the same for Illusion too, as he does compete in that domestic racing series with the Red Bull X 2014 Junior. And I'm sure it's the same thing happening for any of these drivers that are competing in other series. Drivers that have competed in DRL with the F3500 recently. I know they shared some of the same tracks that we've shared. So I know that there's a lot of there's things that you can kind of pick and choose and take from other cars to help your driving style with these SF500s or SF23s to actually be really, really solid. I mean, Alex has taken the skills that he has learned and put them into GT3, and I'm sure Illusion has done the same with the X2014 Junior, and I'm sure King and all these other drivers have learned from the F3500. So there's bits and pieces that you can learn from just driving different cars, driving different tracks, that can help you in pretty much any championship. As we see a battle here once again for the lead of this race. And Illusion gonna fire up the inside. He's got the move done. He's in the lead of the sprint on the final lap of this race. And this is exciting news for everyone right now. If you are a EXO fan, then your boy is in the lead. The championship leader is in the lead of the sprint, but is only going to gain 2 more points off of Nuko. So Nuko is going to have to score 4 or more points ahead of Illusion to win the championship. But we also have the drop rounds to consider, so there's still a lot to play here.
Yeah, and the I will say, too, that the drop round between these two drivers is nullified because both of their worst result of the season has been a P4 for both of them. So we can, basically consider the drop round not a factor in this race, unless, of course, one of these drivers has the worst result of the season in this round, but that would just be terrible. I'm not expecting that to happen. So we can assume, for the sake of simplicity, that we don't have to consider the drop round between these two drivers in particular. And, it looks like last second Nuko making a move right as we're crossing the line. Ooh. That's huge. That's 1 point as they cross the line.
So much closer.
That 1 point could make the entire difference in this championship. I will say that the difference between P1 and P2 in the full race is a whole 8 points. So if one of these drivers wins the race, all these little tiny extra points that could make a difference are not going to matter at the end if you win the full race. Congratulations to Illusion to win the sprint race, and congrats to Nuko as well on a last-second P2.
Sorry, Arturo had a bit of a spin there. He became the Dutch Beyblade.
The Dutch Beyblade going around the final corner to complete our session for now. Just before we get started with our full race. And boy, what a race that was. That was huge.
And that's just a preview. That's like a movie trailer for the actual feature race we're going to have here in a few minutes' time. Once again, we're going to have to take some yapping. Congratulations to Illusion, who went up 6 positions to win the sprint here today. Excellent stuff there from the Norwegian driver. And now it is time to get ready for the final race of the season. Winner takes all. It is all or nothing. A generational season for GPL. I had to pull up some long time statistics, but as far as I know, this GPL season for WEC has had the most unique winners compared to seasons prior. I'm going to pull up exactly how many different race winners we have.
at least 4. If you include the sprint, that would be 5 with Paco. It looks like Alex not too happy with the way some of these drivers were conducting themselves on track during that sprint race. I got our results here on screen.
Yeah, it is.
Arturo
so,
too in the chat.
It is, if you don't count sprints, with Paco getting a sprint win, it is 5 different race winners this season.
Yeah, 5 different race winners in 8 rounds is actually insane as well. That's nuts. And 2, also, everyone in the chat, thank you for your participation. Continue participating with us. And if you're here already, I know most of you probably already have, but if you haven't yet, make sure you subscribe to this channel, like the stream, of course, and follow us on Instagram at Grand Prestige League, and you'll get updates on the results of this season as well as our future plans. We do have another series that we're going to do in the off season with the LMP1 cars. We're looking forward to you guys joining us for that as well. And in the chat, just before we start our final full finale race of the season, let us know what drivers, what teams you guys are rooting for. And we're going to shout you guys out in the comments and let everyone know who you're rooting for today's race.
I'm going to go ahead and correct myself real quick. It is only 5 winners, 4 in terms of feature races. So the winners outside of the sprints have been Lujan, Nuco, Alex, and Comer, and then the extra sprint winner was Paco from Deep Forest Raceway. So my apologies, I don't know where I got that other number from. I guess in my heart we all know that the real winner is the boy Flare Gases. I'm kidding, but yeah. Actually,
oh yeah,
jokes on you. I actually won a race. It just wasn't televised. It was Kyoto. We had a Super Formula race in Kyoto. It never got streamed because nothing ever happened in Kyoto.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, well, if we're going based on Kyoto, yeah, we got a 1-2, Rekus and I.
Yeah, we formed a brand new team, the Seattle Seahawks Hyundai Formula 1 team.
Yeah, that's right.
I can't roll down the spot. That actually probably turned out to be a pretty decent livery, not gonna lie. But
I've made a Seahawks Super Formula livery before, and I like it.
I made a Jaguars livery, and then won a race in it because I know it's probably one of the few wins that Jaguars.
I made a Ravens livery for JD Killswitch, as he is a big-time Baltimore Ravens fan, and I like the Ravens as well, so I didn't mind making one of those. If anyone wanted me to make a San Francisco 49ers car, however, you would get a swift no from me. That includes you, Whiteout. I know Whiteout's there in
We should
California.
do a. You know what? I'm going to call an audible, even though I'm not in any kind of admin role aside from commentary, at least I'm aware of. We're going to go and do a new series where it says everybody representing their favorite sports team, whether it's NFL,
oh yeah,
soccer, and yes, I'm calling it soccer. I'm American.
Yeah.
Apologies, chat. Actually, not really. But
Not
anyway,
really.
yeah, basketball. I mean, it'd be kind of a cool series.
I would like it. I would do that. You already know I'd be the Seattle Seahawks all the way.
I would probably be. It'd be tough because I'd probably go between the Jacksonville Jaguars, UCF Knights, or Full Sail Armada because those are. Well, I went to Full Sail University as my college, and they had an esports team, so I could represent that team. And then UCF was a school that was pretty close to where I lived for college, but. It'd probably be between those teams. Maybe the Orlando Magic because I lived in Orlando for about 4 years when I was going to college. When I rediscovered my love for commentating.
And so going over
And I got
some
sent
of
a
these,
3D printed Formula 1 car.
Oh yeah, that's right. So going over some of these chats here that I'm seeing, we got a couple of people rooting for Illusion. We got Whiteout, we got Purity backing Illusion for the win. Stuart Parker, a new name that I haven't seen in a minute, backing Yuki as well. That would be great to see that. Yeah, I see Alex. Oh, network error with Rekus. We might have just lost him for a minute. Okay, yeah. So if we did lose Rekus from connectivity issues, he will be returning to us here momentarily. No worries. In the meantime, I will take care of you guys, and we will be all underway as the drivers in the comments now are indicating that they are ready to race for the last time this season. And all is to play for. This is for all the marbles. Hop House to win. Indeed. I would back Hop House in this race, even though he is not here. But yeah, definitely shout out to Hop House, though. Really good driver. I've been racing against him all season long in the SWT class, and him and I are fighting for a championship over there. So you guys are going to want to stay tuned for next week. We're going to have the season finale of the SWT class, where there is also some championships on the line. Yeah, and thank you guys all in the comments too. All your support has been wonderful. All of these drivers really support it. We at the league really appreciate it as well. Nuco deciding to wait on Rekus to return, so we're going to see how long that is. He's back.
I got booted from the party for whatever reason, but yeah. I also saw some comments specifically calling me out saying it is football.
No, I got your back.
I'm sorry, I don't speak wrong, but I'm kidding. I mean, granted, I will throw the caveat out there that it does make more sense for soccer to be called football because you're actually kicking a ball versus the NFL, which is basically an egg.
Indeed. Although, football is played on foot.
True. However,
I already knew
I feel like if we actually...
there'd be American slander in the chat. We will not tolerate American slander in the chat.
As we are probably the only Americans here, aside from, I think, Whiplash and Jedi, I think, are the only Americans that actually race here, and Whiteout. Well, Whiteout retired, so...
Yeah, and...
There might be other ones I'm actually just forgetting off the top of my head, and I feel horrible. Because I forgot Alex existed at one point during a stream. I felt terrible.
Yeah, let's just hope that...
My mind blanked on the name.
There's no oil in your countries, or I'll be seeing you soon.
Oh, I mean, to be fair, Saudi Arabia and the Middle East has most of the oil nowadays.
Okay, so these guys are... Okay, let's let Nuco... Wait, you're not back in the lobby yet, are you?
Not yet. Still trying to, like, Gran Turismo do its loading thing and also ban the Americans from commentating.
Yeah, that's what I'm like. No, we're not tolerating none of that.
I feel like if we actually had a debate, this would go on for like hours if we actually had a debate with the Americans versus the Europeans on football versus soccer.
Oh yeah, I know how you Europeans are.
I did actually go to a soccer game not so long ago. I got it for free. Orlando had a soccer team and they had like a student night, which, truth be told, I already graduated like by 7 months ago at that point, but...
Right.
We got it for free, got some free food. It was actually really good, some really good free food. I was mostly there for the food, really, and I knew some friends going, so I'm like, you know what, I'll just tag along.
Yeah, I don't watch it super often, but it is a good sport. It is fun to watch when I do see it, and shout out to the Seattle Sounders.
I mean, it's not, I don't think it's a sport I really watch on TV, but... Like, if I got some tickets to go to the event, it's pretty cool to go see in person.
Absolutely. And Jesse pointing out that we may have just started World War III, and Ground Zero is the chat.
I mean, granted, I know there's been some mess going on in other countries in the world that I won't talk about on stream, but I love how none of that actually starts World War III, but, you know, two commentators talking about is it football versus soccer is what got everybody up in arms.
Absolutely. Well, these are the real issues, too. This is what really matters. Is it football? Is it soccer? We know what the real answer is. We let the Europeans say what they want, but we know in our heart of hearts, American football has taken over.
I mean, obviously, motorsport is the superior sport. I think everybody here can agree with that. Motorsport is far superior than NFL or soccer.
Okay, race starting.
All right, well, anyways, we'll get back to our shenanigans later, but we got a finale to kick off here.
Nuko from pole.
And we're going to wait for those 5 red lights to go out. This is for all the marbles. This is for the championship. Those red lights are on. And it's lights out and away we go. The season finale of WEC here at Grand Prestige League has kicked off. And Alex looking to make a position. Illusion trying to make a position too. He's up in the 4th now. He did move up 1 position, but he is fighting tooth and nail with the Porsche. Yuki also gets there. Yuki is into 5th place at the moment. And Whiplash is actually right up on the tail. Or sorry, he's got Alex right up the tail for company. And Alex is going to go for all the marbles too. Little bit of contact. I do see some damage though. Boita's got damage on that rear wing. And it's heavy damage here in WEC. So he was going to have to return to the pits on his home track to go ahead and get that fixed. Looking at other damage. King also has rear wing damage. And then Flaring Aces, the other Toyota, does have damage as well on the front wing. And Artura's car is absolutely battered. Back right suspension damage and aero damage on both the front and the rear. So, this first lap was a dream lap for Nuko, not so much for Artura.
Yeah, absolutely. It was an excellent launch off the line from both Exo AMR machines to Illusion getting up into P4. That's going to be crucial. You want to make up as many positions as early as possible, because even though we know that he is capable of making up those positions eventually over time, if it doesn't happen right away, he's just going to be losing time to Nuko in clean air. And right after that launch, though, too, a lot of these drivers in the midfield got shuffled up all throughout that lap, the order changing a lot. Yuki making backup positions, though, after having fallen back a little bit. And Boita having that rear wing damage, as you mentioned, is going to be huge as far as the team's championship is concerned, because there is a really tight battle, especially between Toyota and Porsche for the team championship, P2 at the moment. And if Boita has to take an additional pit stop just for that rear wing, then that would hurt.
Indeed, yeah. And I mean, it's interesting to note. I mean, like you said, yeah, I mean, there's championship battles going up and down this field, all sorts of positions. Obviously, the big one is Illusion and Nuko, and at this stage, Nuko will win that championship at this stage of the season, because this is the last dance for all of these drivers. But right now, even if Illusion doesn't win the championship, Exo can take solace that they are in prime position to win that team's championship, because granted, Alex and Nuko are ahead of Illusion, but Yuki is ahead of the other 2 drivers from the other teams. He's ahead of Boita, who's got damage, and he's ahead of Aces, who also has damage. So Yuki is in the best spot out of these quote second drivers on these teams. So yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how this race actually plays out. And folks, better go grab your popcorn, because you're not going to want to miss any of it. And also, I will say, be sure to hydrate. It is important.
It is very important indeed, as we have a battle for P9 between King and Flaring Aces, as King just gets by ahead of the left-hander there, and it looks like he's going to make it stick as well. A lot of these, I'm going to just check all of the tires real quick. And it looks like every single driver on the grid is on the medium tire, and so they're going to go long for this stint at least, and the pit window is going to be somewhat similar for everyone, I believe, based on that alone. And I will say too, alluding to what you said in regards to the number 2 drivers, when the grid is this competitive between the top drivers, that makes it so much more important for the second driver on the team to do their part too. So the battle between number 2 drivers is almost equally as important as the battle between the number 1 drivers this season for that Constructors' Championship.
Especially with such fine margins being in between all these teams. And yeah, Yuki being where he is, granted, he's not fighting for a podium and he's not helping his teammate win the Drivers' Championship, but he is definitely doing his part, like you said, in that Exo AMR machine to really bring home the Constructors' Championship. It will be the second Constructors' Championship for Exo in a row, at least if you go by the standard of they won it in Formula GT in collaboration with High Caliber Racing, and now they're about to win it here in GPL, and they're in a good spot to take it for SWT as well.
Yeah, and XO AMR is the reigning Constructors champions from last season as well here in GPL. Although Nuco was the Drivers champion last season, we could have a repeat of that if things stay the way they are currently.
You make a very valid point there. I mean, everything can happen in racing, and right now Illusion is up into third place right now, so I mean, so far he's doing what he needs to, but he's got to make up a second and a half, over almost 2 seconds, to try to get to Whiplash, and he's got about 2.2 seconds away from his championship rival, so this is going to be a spicy one. But unlike the sprint race, where the sprint race is pretty much just purely pace and just how quick you are around the track, there's going to be pit strategy that comes into effect as well, because you're, no matter, even if you're on the racing hard tires, you are not making it to lap 47 with your tires intact.
Absolutely. And yeah, so when it was like lap 2, the gap between Illusion and the race leader of Nuco was about 2.5 seconds, and despite having to get by a couple of cars, that gap has come down a little bit. It went back up slightly, but the gap has actually been maintained to the leader despite having to do that. So we'll see if he can close in on Whiplash, who is one of the fastest drivers in terms of just sheer pace. And so we'll see how long it takes for him to close up. And as I mentioned before in the just before the quali session, the dirty air here does make it really hard to close in on the driver ahead, and that will also impact your tire wear, especially if the dirty air leads to understeer in these corners. That's what leads to increased friction and increased tire wear, because you're overheating those medium tires.
Indeed, yeah, because dirty air has... And I mean, especially because the wind is pretty much the exact same that it was during quali, during the race, so that much hasn't really changed, so there's a bit of familiarity in that regard. Now, he did close up the gap a little bit to Whiplash, but the gap to Nuco is staying relatively the same. Boita is expressing a little bit of his frustration in chat. I just checked in on him because I thought he might have had damage again, which thankfully for the Brazilian driver on his home track, he does not have damage again. But, I mean, yeah, just not the race that you would have wanted on your home turf. That is for certain.
Yeah, and I do want to address, too, I believe William Boita said it, something about calling a red flag. The reason that I didn't, it was 2 cars involved. I think usually I want to see at least 3 cars with damage to call a red flag. And another reason why I decided not to was because despite those 2 cars having damage, it kind of, at least from what I saw, it looked like it happened separately as well. And so, yeah, that would be my reasoning.
Yeah, that makes sense. But the thing is, and actually in chat, it was actually said pretty well, that Whiplash might spice things up in this championship fight, or at least in this last race. His tire management isn't super great. I mean, he's not the tire whisperer like we saw from Boita, especially during the GT500 series, but he is still going to be another obstacle that Illusion is going to have to get around, and Whiplash has no real reason to really help out Illusion, so he's going to fight for that position for his own team.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. I don't think Whiplash is here to help anyone out. And, yeah, the gaps are starting to spread out a decent amount throughout the field, kind of stabilizing a bit these gaps. Let me take a look down the field and see if we got any cars close enough to each other. Looks like Flaring Aces and Boita are close enough that we can check this out. A battle for P9 here in the back of the grid between a Porsche and a Toyota. So this is actually a meaningful battle here in a team championship. And we're going to see who comes out on top. Although, based on the fact that there is a Toyota currently in P1, the advantage is strongly in the hands of Toyota at the moment in that Constructors Championship.
Yeah, because, I mean, granted, even though Flaring Aces is behind Boita, Alex is very behind Nuco. So, I mean, like you said, I mean, even if... Because even then, the points difference between P1 and P2 is about 8 points, like you said earlier on. So that would even mean, like, if Illusion even were to get second place in this race, he needs to finish ahead of Nuko or win to go ahead and just claim that driver's championship and stop the repeat from Nuko here. But
yeah.
So even if Alex was further ahead, I mean, I think Toyota definitely has a very hefty advantage in terms of getting P2 in the Constructors' Championship as we are in the final race of the season. Man, I can't believe how fast time flies, man. We're already here at the final 2 weeks of Season 6 for GPL, which is insane to me how fast we pretty much went through this season. I know we have the SF500 coming up at some point in the near future, but no official announcement has been made for that.
Yeah, and it was such a long off season too, just hotly anticipating the return of GPL, and here we are already at the end of the season. You really have to cherish these moments because they fly right by, and we're having good fun here. And like you were saying too, the gaps between Illusion and Nuko for the championship, I was basically telling Illusion that this is, despite there being however many drivers on the grid, this is a direct race between you and Nuko. Whoever finishes ahead between those two is going to win this championship.
I do want to make a quick correction as I was corrected in chat. I need to brush up on my history with GPL because Whiteout was actually the reigning champion for GPL here, so I do apologize for my bit of misinformation that I spread a little bit earlier.
Yeah, I think I said Nuko was last season's champion. Nuko was champion 2 seasons ago, I should say.
So I do apologize, and I do appreciate the correction there. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how this one plays out. Obviously, we know the undercut is gonna be super strong, as it has also been mentioned in chat. But yeah, I think this one's really just going to come down to Whiplash, honestly. It's just Whiplash's involvement, because he is right now the great wall of Foxhound Racing between Nuko and Illusion here. The great wall that divides these two championship rivals. So I think if he gets involved with either of these cars, it's really going to shake up this entire championship finale.
Absolutely, and it does look like that gap is increasing from P1 now for Illusion. It is now up to 3.6 seconds to the leader, and yeah, I believe it was Monza in our opening round as well, where Illusion was getting caught up with Whiplash, who was kind of out of position as far as like strategically, and yet he impacted Illusion's race tremendously, and it might have even cost him a win. It definitely cost him some points and some time on track. And so we might see a little bit of that again today. Hopefully, for Illusion's sake, he doesn't have to fight with Whiplash too much if he does indeed end up catching him. I've noticed, too, that a lot of people are saying in the chat that Illusion is probably going to want to try to target an undercut, too, by the time we get to the pit window.
Yeah, I mean, you got to time the undercut to perfection, though, because I agree, undercutting is very strong because, I mean, you're going to make your pit stop earlier, and then at that point, your tires will be a bit more warmed up compared to somebody who, even if they pit in the lap after you, those tires are going to be pretty much ice cold, and it's going to take a while for them to get up to temp. But the thing is, as well, is that you got to time it so perfectly, because when it comes to the undercut, your outlap is super important. I mean, it's probably the most important part of the pit stop if you're going for that undercut strategy, is that you got to have a very good outlap. And if you get stuck in traffic, then your outlap is basically all for nothing, really, and it really just defeats the purpose of that undercut. So you really got to time it well. You got to try to do some mental math, which, I mean, I made the very big mistake of telling my teacher when I was in second grade that racers don't need math. Several years later, boy, was I wrong about that. But you got to do the math and try to figure out, you know, when is there a good enough gap for me to undercut and slot in where I don't have to deal with traffic, and so I can maximize that outlap. That is what Illusion needs to do if he wants this undercut to pay off.
And I was just taking a look at the overtake usage here too, and especially as Whiteout has pointed out, that Whiplash is burning up a lot of his overtakes super early on in this race to stay in the fight with Nuco, just to kind of stay within range. And I think that might account for both of these cars pulling away from Illusion, as Illusion and Nuco kind of managing their overtake a little more effectively than Whiplash at this stage. But Whiplash, he must be going for it. He wants track position early to see if he can do something special here today.
Yeah, because Interlagos doesn't really chew through tires that much. So, I mean, it's possible that he could try to go for an overcut here, which, I mean, with the overcut, you gotta really make all of your laps count, really, and you just gotta have a rocket ship pace, and you gotta make sure that your pace on track is quicker than the outlap of the guy who undercut you. So, racing, I always say that racing is about 50% pace and 50% strategy.
Absolutely. Man, Whiteout's on fire in the chat today. He's killing me. I have it now multiple times. I had to mute myself to laugh. I like it. Yeah, Whiplash, definitely a fan of his overtake today.
Yeah, some things we really can't repeat on stream. YouTube, well, actually, I think, well, Kick is probably fine because Kick really has no rules. But
yeah.
Twitch and YouTube and Facebook Gaming, y'all remember when Facebook Gaming was a thing? Yeah, I'm pretty sure
that
those
was
platforms
funny.
would have a bit of an issue. Does that even still exist? That is a interesting
No,
question.
I don't think it
to see if
does.
that still exists.
I think they abandoned that.
I mean, for good reason. I mean, they had Ninja, which, I mean, that was like the only person they could actually sign.
Yeah. Yeah.
Apparently there's some other new streaming service that's called like Voice, but
just because I can't repeat it doesn't mean you shouldn't continue, Whiteout. You're doing great in the comments there.
So here's actually something I'm gonna ask chat. Can we get a petition to get Whiteout to join the commentary box, at least for the SF500? At least we need Whiteout in the commentary box making these out-of-pocket statements, so we can have some extra fun during the SF500.
Absolutely, yeah. Whiteout, you've been formally invited to join our commentary team and get all of the Grand Prestige League demonetized for us. That would be excellent.
We'll definitely have to get an outside sponsor at that point.
Yeah.
I might know some affiliates that we could possibly leverage, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But
Absolutely.
anyways, yeah. So Illusion has made up quite a bit of ground to Whiplash, but he is bringing Alex along for the ride. Which Alex, we know that that driver has no holds barred against anybody. He is basically the Mick Foley of GPL at
Mick
times,
Foley,
going for
yeah.
or maybe Jeff Hardy. Well, both of them are probably applicable in this case, but we know that Alex has no qualms against sending one up the inside, doing his best Daniel Ricciardo impression.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. He likes a good send. As we got King making up another position, getting back up to P7. A good effort from King here, as he was way out of position early on in the race, but we know he has pace, especially what we saw in the sprint race. It took all 12 laps for our championship leaders to get by King. So I expect to see him try to make up some more positions, although I will say there are two pretty distinctive groups here that have formed, as you got your top five ending with Yuki, and then beyond Yuki, there's a 23-second gap to P6 from there. And so King definitely has his work cut out for him if he plans on getting any higher than P6 today.
Even with a P6 finish, that would be a pretty good finish considering just how he hasn't raced in GPL for quite some time now. So a P6 finish wouldn't exactly be the worst for the German driver currently sitting in P7, the lone high-caliber racing car on track today. But yeah, I mean, P6 wouldn't really be the worst finish ever. It could be worse. I mean, your team isn't really fighting anyone for any kind of championship points or championship position, so yeah, we'll just have to see how it all plays out here today. But this is the final race of the season for WEC, but we will be back next week for SWT, and I apologize if you hear that. It is raining super heavily where I'm at right now. Apologies if you hear the absolute... We took all the rain that would have been here at Brazil and just transported it to North Florida, but yeah, I mean, this is for all the marbles here, as Lucian is actually within a second of Whiplash here, so this could be spicy here in the next few laps.
Absolutely. Illusion kind of bringing that gap back down. It was like 3.5 seconds. Now it's down to 2 seconds. So doing a good job, although he is using overtake to get it done. And so he's now just over 50% with his overtake. And if we compare that to Nuko, who is in a really good position just managing from P1 there, he is not having to use any overtake. He used just about 25% early on. But now he's just chilling as it currently stands. But taking a look at the tire wear, it's actually really even as well between these top 3 drivers, the worst of which being Whiplash, just barely a bit more worn than the other 2.
Yeah, Whiplash is also the worst when it comes to fuel as well. A lot of these drivers are probably going to take a splash of fuel when they get into the pits. Whiplash currently the worst on all of the abilities of management here. There's a different word, but I just couldn't think of it in time. But he's not the best on tire wear, not the best on fuel, and not the best on overtake. So we'll see how that kind of factors into this race, because, I mean, as a famous Brazilian Formula 1 driver once said, to finish first you must finish. And it is a race of endurance. You got to be consistent from lap 1 all the way to the end of lap 47.
Yeah, there is zero margin for error here, especially with so much to play for. You can make zero mistakes when you're in a situation like this with such fast drivers in front and behind you. And I know Whiplash is a very confident driver. He's probably not feeling too much pressure at the moment, but in this situation, there is pressure involved. When you're sandwiched in between the 2 championship leaders in the finale, although he himself, not much at stake, not much to play for, so that removes so much of the pressure. And it looks like we have our first retirement of the race, as Artura is in the chat letting us know that he is not going to continue.
Yeah, he's saying he's in so much pain at the moment. Hopefully that pain isn't long-term. Hopefully you do feel better soon. It's an unfortunate way for your season to wrap up. You've had quite the up and down season. But yeah, hopefully everything is okay. We wish you all the best, and just take care, hydrate, relax, put some ice on it. Don't rub dirt in it like my old football coach would say. But yeah, just take it easy, man. And hopefully everything just works out for you, man. And hopefully we'll see you in the off season. We know you got pace, and yeah, thanks for going ahead and competing for this season. It was a joy to commentate.
Yeah, and perhaps if he's feeling okay for the SWT race, we might see him again next week in the closer for that. But yeah, Artura, having injured his knee a few weeks ago and torn meniscus, as he said in the chat there. That's a bad one. And I know Jesse is in the chat as well, also has torn his meniscus at some point early on in life. And so Jesse can relate to your torn meniscus there. That's a bad one.
Yeah, torn meniscus is not good. That sounds hyper painful, but oh, here we go.
And the
now
undercut
everything
indeed.
is in motion. Lucian is making the undercut. Now, here's the question. Is he going to go onto the hard tire and try to make it to the end, or is he going to go for another set of mediums? I'm thinking it may even be a two-stop race here for the current championship leader. He did put fuel in, but he did run another set of racing mediums. So, do you think he'll have to make another pit stop, or do you think he can get to the end on this compound?
Well, it will be really close. I mean, the tires would definitely be capable of going to the end, but they would be pretty, Oh, he did it again!
Oh! No. Lucian getting
like
a 3-second penalty
Not
for
like
crossing the
this.
pit line. Oh.
Of all the things that could have happened.
Oh man, that is unfortunate for the championship leader at this stage of the season. A 3-second slowdown penalty for the championship leader while his rival is in the lead of this race, and he's going to react to the pit stop too. But is he going to get a penalty as well? That is the question.
Yeah,
because we know the pit lane penalty is the most dreaded penalty in this game.
Absolutely. He's approaching to serve that penalty. That will completely nullify any undercut that he would have gotten. And it would not have been a very strong undercut anyways, because everyone that was behind and ahead is also coming into the pits now to cover off the undercut. So even if he would have done so effectively, it only would have been a one-lap undercut, as now we have a new race leader of Alex of Porsche inheriting the lead and choosing to go long. And we'll see how much longer he does stay out. Maybe he just likes the feeling of being in P1 and wants to occupy that for as long as he can. But for his chances at getting a good result, he may want to come into the pits very soon, as all of the drivers behind him are now going to be undercutting him with a bit more pace on brand new tires. And the tires selected from all of the drivers are mediums.
And crucially as well, Nuko and Whiplash did not get penalized for the pit lane, so that is a massive advantage towards Nuko there in this championship battle. And I don't know if he has a race engineer telling him information as he is racing, as I know in some leagues that is perfectly allowed, but he probably would have been fed that information at some point or another, or if I don't think Flaring Aces would have been able to really kind of see it, because that would have been the only person I could think that would have otherwise been able to tell him that kind of information. But yeah, I'm sure Nuko, if he knows about Lusion's penalty, then that is a massive, or at least a weight partially lifted off of his shoulders. He still has another over 20 laps to go in this race.
Yeah, still a lot of race, a lot can happen. It does look like the gap between, so we got 1 and 4. So he's not completely out of this race either. He did take himself a bit out a little bit. It's about a 5-second gap now. Yeah, so he's still like, it's not over, especially there's so many laps left that a mistake could happen, a spin, a crash. Anything can happen from this point. Although these drivers are so good, it's really unlikely that we're going to see any of them crash all on their own without some sort of extraordinary circumstance taking place. Although anything can happen, these cars are really difficult to drive, despite their immense talent and skill levels. Anything can happen.
Another thing to note too is that the wind has actually been halved at this stage of the race. It is only 7.7 feet per second, as we were in the 13s earlier on at the start of the race. So there's less of a tailwind for these drivers to really navigate, and these cars are so aerodynamically efficient that that tailwind is a nightmare to deal with. So that's going to make these cars a little bit easier to drive, not having to deal with that nasty tailwind, but we'll see.
Yeah,
I mean, I agree, it's not impossible for Lusion, but it's going to be that much harder.
Oh yeah, it's going to be a mountain for him to climb, but it's definitely going to take the drive of a champion in order to make it happen here. And the wind being reduced in speed will be good news for King, as well as he was complaining early on in the lobby that the wind was quite decent there, as we have our race leader of Alex coming into the pits to shed those burnt up mediums. And we'll see what he decides to get on, as he might just do a weird strategy and take a soft tire here, but if he does the traditional thing that everyone else is doing, I'm assuming he'll be on the mediums as soon as he
which he did.
Yeah.
He did switch back onto another set of the medium compound, but we'll see if he gets that penalty as well. I think he is going to come out ahead of Lusion there, and he does, yeah, but just barely by half a second now. And we'll see how much Alex puts up a fight. those tires are going to be a bit cold, so he won't have as much grip as he wants, but that's not going to stop Alex from fighting tooth and nail to keep that position.
Yeah, absolutely. And so now we can see exactly how much time that mistake cost Illusion, because we saw before they did their pit stops, Alex was behind Illusion by not a big amount, but, by a noticeable amount. He was behind them by, and now Alex comes out of the pits after 2 or 3 laps of being undercut and still comes out ahead on track. So Illusion now also probably losing time behind Alex, getting heaps of dirty air into these high-speed corners especially, as well as just having to battle will cost you time. Illusion with a good slipstream, though, as we approach turn 1, and he is all the way ahead, now gets to choose the line. He picks the inside line, wisely so, hugs the first apex, does a really good job at car positioning, not giving Alex a chance at a switchback or a move to respond to, although now Alex has a huge slipstream here. This is the best slipstream on the whole track. Illusion breaking the toe just before going into the next corner, and it was clean for both drivers, but Illusion makes it stick.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, that was the move he needed to make. Illusion is probably pretty
We got Rekus cutting out there. Unfortunately, if so, there I just got the notification. Rekus, then there he goes, exits the lobby and the party. All right, yeah, Rekus did disconnect from his internet real quick, but he will return, I am sure. Yeah, David, I didn't do it, I promise. Rekus has been kidnapped, but I'm paying the ransom. I'm making sure the payment has been delivered, and the assailants will return him to us promptly. So no worries. We will get him back to us safe and sound, as Illusion is 6.5 seconds off the leader of Nuco. 3.5 seconds off of P2 Whiplash in that Foxhound machine. Alex, whoa. Okay, never mind. It looked like for a second Alex had a big snap and almost was facing the direction opposite to the corner, but he held on. Yellow flag ahead, but I'm not seeing anything. False alarm maybe. I don't know what happened. Oh, as we see Nuco approaching a back marker of Fennec, maybe the yellow flag was for Fennec, which is not as exciting as far as the implications on our actual race result here, but blue flags being shown for Fennec as he gets out of the way of the lap, letting by our race leader. And now the next car to be lapped would be his own teammate in Whiplash. And so hopefully everything works out there. Yeah, the gap decent here, but yeah. Now we got Boita going into the pits too, our resident tire whisperer of GPL. Always one of the very, very best when it comes to managing his tire wear. And just look how balanced he is able to keep it. As now we're going to see him take on what I'm only going to assume is going to be another set of medium tires, as we have had a completely uniform grid up and down the field as far as which tire compound has been selected, and it has been all medium today. Yes, coming out of the pits on the mediums, avoiding that pit lane exit line. All right, and now, as these gaps are such, and we are focusing mostly on Illusion here and his attempt to get back into this race to fight for the lead and, of course, the championship, let's go on board with Illusion and see his perspective. Actually, yeah, let's do this view. So we're going to see all of his wheel inputs, and you can see down there just to the left and right of his gears, his acceleration and braking as well. So we got a good idea of his inputs and telemetry, and we'll just see his technique, as Illusion is renowned for having some of the smoothest steering and pedal inputs that I've ever seen. A really long fourth gear too, as it looks like. As all of these drivers here are most likely going to be running some custom gear ratios specifically designed to be perfectly sequenced for these corners. Illusion now approaching the back marker of Fennec as he is probably now being shown the blue flags, and I believe will probably get out of the way here on the main straight. This is a good opportunity as any to let him by. If he doesn't, he may have the detriment of the dirty air through the next lap, which is not good, especially if you're getting dirty air from a back marker when on paper you should be in clean air right now, based on the positions of these cars. Yeah, really long fourth gear as he's getting it all the way up to 160 miles an hour before he shifts up to fifth. And it looks like a lot of these drivers, especially Illusion here, have essentially turned these gearboxes into a 5-speed instead of a 6-speed with these gear ratios. And we have Rekus back in the party, ideally back on stream as well.
Yeah, I'm here. Just didn't want to cut you off, but yeah, massive lightning strike just killed the campsite Wi-Fi. So we're making do with what we got here. We could not have a season finale without drama, that's for certain.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you disconnect anyway sometimes, but a lightning strike is actually a good reason to disconnect.
Yeah, it reset the stuff for the entire campground. So just gonna let Gran Turismo do his thing, but we'll see how it goes. I mean, I am getting into a new apartment on Tuesday, so I think it should be improvement. The speed was about 200 megabytes per second faster compared to what I had at the Orlando apartment, so we'll see how it goes.
Absolutely, and knowing how prolific you are in commentary, the entire racing community is looking forward to that.
And I'm looking forward to bringing the commentary to the racing community as I am on my way back into the lobby, so...
All right, sounds good. In the meantime,
yeah,
we're just on board with Illusion.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with chat. I was watching it, have it pulled up on my phone. Yeah, Whiplash is keeping Nuko pretty honest here. He's not letting Nuko get too relaxed. He knows he has a little bit of an advantage on his championship rival, but there's still a good amount of racing left to go here. So, I mean, anything can happen. Nuko could get a lightning strike. Illusion could get a lightning strike. Anything can happen. Although, granted, their Florida or their weather isn't probably as bipolar as Florida's, but
just comparing.
It'll be sunshine in about 10 minutes, probably.
Comparing tires and overtake between these top three drivers here, and it looks like the Illusion and Nuko are identical on overtake.
Yeah, we'll see how it all plays out. I mean, management's a big thing, especially like there's so much on the line for a lot of these drivers. You know, there's team championships, there's drivers championships. There's so much at stake here for drivers up and down this grid.
Absolutely. This is a big deal. This is as big as it gets. Here is Super Formula Racing in Gran Turismo. The Grand Prestige League I definitely consider to be the world's most competitive Super Formula series on Gran Turismo, with some of the world's fastest sorry, I cut myself off reading the comments here. Let's show you guys Whiplash a little bit here as he is chasing down Nuko and used basically all of his overtake.
Yeah, that is not ideal here for the American driver currently sitting in a P2 at the moment. We'll have to see how his race goes. I mean, Illusion is going to be on him like white on rice here sooner rather than later, I would think. And as my feathery co-commentator said, that he thinks that it is gonna be a race that's gonna go down right to the wire. We're not gonna have a defined winner till the last corner of lap number 47. That is when the honorary co-commentator of the Yellow Parakeet, known as Peeps, gives his opinion. And honestly, it's kind of hard not to agree with that kind of statement because, I mean, like you said, this is the most competitive field in Super Formula, in Gran Turismo 7, and it'll probably be the same way in Gran Turismo 8 or Gran Turismo Sport 2, whatever is the next GT game, if they keep these Super Formula cars. But yeah, this is such a competitive field here that it's really hard to imagine that it would go any other way than down to the wire. We know that Illusion is about 5 seconds off of the race leader, so he's got to make up a ton of time if he wants this championship. It is a Mount Everest level climb, but does he have the gear to do it? I think so, but can he do it is another thing. You can have all the gear in the world, but you need everything to line up perfect for things just to happen the way they need to.
Yeah, he's motivated and he is driving excellently right now. As the last time we checked on the gap after he came out of the pits, it was a 6-second gap that we were looking for him to close. Now that is down to 4 seconds to Whiplash, who is less than a second behind the race leader of Nuko, the Frenchman in that Toyota. And so effectively, Illusion's gap to the leader is coming down steadily. We'll see. Oh, and a big snap. Huge snap from Whiplash. That loses him a lot of time. And that should bring Illusion a bit closer. Let's see if Illusion can now see. He can see the sparks flying off the back of the Foxhound machine of Whiplash now. So, as I've mentioned in previous races too, when you can actually visually see the car in front of you, it gives you a little bit more instinctive push and drive to catch that car when it's not just a hypothetical, when you're chasing a number, when you can see the car and you're chasing an actual person. It gives you just that little bit extra.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you there. It's like in those old cartoons, whenever a bull would see like a red flag or a red something, they would just lock into it and just charge at a full speed. And that is exactly what Illusion is going to try to do with Whiplash. He's going to charge at a full speed, try to gain that position, and I mean, we can throw around the words damage limitation all day long, but this is it. There's no more damage to limit. This is your last shot. This is the last hurrah, the last dance, whatever you want to call it. This is the finale. This is our WrestleMania. This is our big moment here in Sao Paulo, and it's all to play for as we are getting closer and closer to the final 10 laps of the World Elite Championship season here at season number 6 of the Grand Prestige League. And boy, what a season it has been. The wind has picked up again, though. It is 13.1 feet per second. So that tailwind, and it's coming in a different direction than it was during the sprint. It is now going south, mostly south, but a little bit southwest. So we'll have to see how that plays out for these drivers. And like you said earlier, to kind of ruin this whole thing.
Oh yeah, and the wind direction and speed can be something that's kind of hard to account for, especially if you kind of just checked it out once early on in the session and you're like, okay, so that's what the wind speed, that's what the wind direction is. You're not going to be like just monitoring it super closely unless it's obvious that it's changing a lot. By the way, Rek is once again disconnected. It does seem that there must be a storm happening there in Florida where he is currently at commentating, so we'll give him another chance to return when he gets back there. Yeah, Whiteout, as you mentioned too, absolutely devastating, that 3-second penalty, because what the gap is between Illusion and Whiplash right now, 3.6 seconds, and that's not accounting for the fact that the 3-second penalty will cost you more than 3 seconds in actual race time, probably closer to 5-6 seconds, maybe even more, as you have to get back up to speed on the main straight there. And the undercut not being super effective, as it was covered off just one lap later by the two cars ahead. So we would expect to see Illusion right in the mix in this fight at this point in the race, had that not happened. WEC is making a great point that we have multiple battles, one of which between our own co-commentator and his own internet. But nonetheless, we will see WEC prevail as he always does. Yeah, and I'll go back to the cinematic cam. We've spent a lot of time on board with these drivers, so you guys have a good idea of what their inputs look like, what their steering is, and all of that. Now you can see what these gaps are, and that'll give you a good idea of what that 3.5 seconds looks like on track. There goes Whiplash, and here comes Illusion. There is the gap. That's a pretty big gap, to be honest. Now only 10 laps left to close the gap. At this point, I don't think there's going to be enough time for him to close the gap based on the current pace deltas that these guys are showing us. He is still closing the gap, but it's slow. It's not going to be enough time unless, of course, something happens. The best thing that could happen to Illusion right now is ideally Whiplash catches up to Nuko and starts having a battle with him for the lead. Although I would give Nuko the advantage on pace, I'm not sure that Whiplash is going to be able to catch him, because it was requiring Whiplash to use basically all of his overtake in order to be in a position to even still be this close to Nuko, let alone battle and pass him. Nuko more so managing his overtake a lot better, still using it, but managing it. Taking a look, we'll compare the metrics here of these cars, overtake, tires, fuel, all of that, and it does look like between Nuko and Illusion, they are identical on OT, and they are identical on tire wear. Nuko having slightly better tire wear, I would say, but he has the luxury of being in P1 and being able to dictate the pace of this race. And when you can do that, tire management becomes so much easier from that position. So Arturo, to answer your question right now, Nuko is the driver's champion if everything ends the way it currently stands. The point difference between P1, P2 is too big. It does not matter if Illusion gets P2. Basically, if Illusion gets any result other than beating Nuko, Nuko will be the champion today. Unfortunate stuff for Illusion and everyone here who is EXO fans, but the Toyota fans are rejoicing right now, as it looks like Nuko is in a really good position to take this championship for himself today. Yeah, definitely agree with the chat too. A very informed chat, as a lot of them are racing drivers, but we have a lot of different levels of knowledge base as far as our audience is concerned, some of which completely unfamiliar with racing and not have the game at all. Some of you guys are literal champions of this league, and so it's really great to have a good mix of that knowledge base for you guys to interact with each other like that. Yeah, I agree with David as well that Whiplash pretty premature on the overtake usage, burning a bit too much too early on, and now it doesn't look like he's going to be in a position to have that extra advantage in the closing stages of this finale. Boy, oh boy. So I'm going to just look down the grid and see if we have any other cars that are really close. There's a handful of cars that are pretty close here, one of which being Flaring Aces in the number 2 Toyota car, a back marker getting blue flagged right now, but not getting out of the way before turn 1 begins. So that means he will be providing dirty air for Whiplash, which is good for Illusion. That will help Illusion out quite a bit, as it looks like, we have Illusion much closer to Whiplash than he was before. But Nuko not being affected by any of this, as now Nuko is 3.5 seconds ahead of Whiplash. Whiplash must have made a mistake somewhere, He didn't crash, obviously, so it must have just been another really big snap, as he is definitely on the absolute limit of what this car can provide in terms of grip and control. And a really great job from Alex, too, by the way, for staying this close to Illusion for this long of this race. So that is showing tremendous poise as well as pace from the German driver, staying right behind the Norwegian. Okay. Taking a look a little farther back down the grid just to see what the position. Ooh, what's going on here? Okay, a very, very late pit stop for Yuki. I wonder if. Okay, so what I'm assuming is because he sees the gap is still 22 seconds to the next nearest car being King. My guess is that he's going to come in, switch to the soft tire while he has low fuel and still 25% of his overtake left, and make an attempt to set the fastest lap of this race, which, if you do so, is worth one additional point in the championship. Now, that one extra point will not contribute to the Drivers' Championship between Nuco and Illusion, but it will help out XOAMR as a team, and he does stay just ahead of King. That was a really close. I actually figured that it would be close with a 22-second gap to take an additional pit stop, but it looks like he just managed to do it right, and he does maintain position. And now he has a brand new set of soft tires, so hopefully that will provide him a pace advantage. The Japanese driver also running a special Brazilian helmet here, a tribute to Ayrton Senna, the Brazilian Formula One legend. Very cool helmet that you got there, Yuki. Now taking a look a little farther up the grid, back to what counts here. Illusion still in P3, setting personal best sectors there. Not a purple sector, but it is a personal best sector. His tires are actually looking really bad, but so is everyone else's. So let's just see what we can do about this. I'm just catching up on the comments as well. One moment. Yes, agree with everything that is being said in the comments. You guys are oracles indeed. And especially Jesse, who is, I know, doesn't own this game, but he has tried it a couple times, and this game is indeed very, very difficult. And this car in particular, perhaps one of the most difficult cars to get under control, especially if you're driving it at the limit of what it's capable of doing. The car is on a knife edge at all times, and it takes so much focus. It is actually exhausting after a race. Okay, William Boyta wants to see King's tires, and here you are, good sir. They are actually in really good shape at this point of the race, just under 50%, it seems. And so, yeah, doing a good job at tire management is King in that high-caliber machine. The Honda-powered McLaren-branded Super Formula car. Yeah, he perhaps did hit a second time.
His tire management is King.
Yeah, King.
That's a bad part of it by my standards.
Yeah. And welcome back, Ruckus, once again. We got him back from the clutches of the storm.
Yeah, the storm lined up very nicely. Speaking of Mazda, Shout out to my mother. I'm using her phone hotspot to finish off the rest of the season, so thanks, Mom.
Yeah, Mother's Day indeed coming through very clutch. And see, this is why we appreciate our mothers, because when you need them the most, they give you a Wi-Fi hotspot to complete your race here. And it was good timing as well, as we are finishing up this race, closing in on the last few laps. And it is still a similar story that we've had all race. Illusion P3 closing in on Whiplash. Oh, a huge snap from Illusion there, but he holds on to the car, almost loses it. If you have a snap there too, it's so easy to lose the car there, end up facing the wrong direction entirely.
Yeah, I mean, that's for any part of this track, honestly. I mean, you're taking a lot of these corners at such a high speed that it is very easy to just overdrive the car and just lose it, especially at this stage of the race. We're in the final few laps of the entirety of the season. Your adrenaline is pumping. Your engines are firing on all cylinders. You are going to be driving your heart out. Your tires are asking for the sweet release of a pit stop. Your fuel needs to be refilled. I mean, these cars are basically like on the edge. Like you said, the knife's edge. I mean, these cars are super light because they're low on fuel. The wind is as strong as it's ever been throughout the entirety of the day. And it is, I mean, like, especially if you're Nuco, your nerves are just on edge. Your nerves are on fire.
Yeah,
as you're coming through the last few laps of the season to claim another championship.
Yeah, already a multi-time champion is Nuco, and as well as Illusion. And so we're going to see which one of these drivers is going to, I mean, it's looking really good for Nuco right now. A 3-second gap too. When you have 2 laps left of this race, and the situation is as it is, the car is basically destroyed, completely destroyed. And so luckily that 3-second gap is going to be the most relieving thing that he has, where he can actually give himself a little bit of a margin. He doesn't have to push 100%. He can just stay calm, just take the racing line, don't over push, keep it on track, and you're going to win a championship today.
Yeah, that's exactly what Nuco did. He drove his race. It started in qualifying. He had a fantastic qualifying earlier on. And then he just kept a clean race, kept his nose clean, didn't overdrive the car. May have had a few snaps here and there, but overall he just kept it clean, you know? And he's rounding the corner, and he's going to be on the final lap of the entirety of the season. And he's closing in on a championship. It would take a crucial mistake for Nuco to lose this. Even then, Illusion is about 5 seconds behind, a little bit less than that. But I mean, Nuco's got this championship as we start the final lap of the season here, which is a crazy statement to say, but Nuco is going to put pedal to the metal now. He's going to send it now. I mean, he's just going to burn all the overtake. Might as well, because you don't really need to use it. You got 3 seconds of a gap to the car behind, and about a 5-second gap to your championship rival now, even more so, because he's just stuck behind the dirty air of Whiplash. And like you said, the dirty air or the drop rounds are just not going to exist.
Yeah, exactly. And as we go around the final few corners in the final sector here, we're going to go on board with Nuco as he crosses the line to become the driver's champion of the world in WEC. And you guys are also going to want to stay tuned afterwards, as we're going to probably have some interviews with a handful of the drivers.
Yep, that is exactly right. He's got only 2 more corners left to go now. It's on the home stretch now. It's been a fantastic season for the Frenchman. And Nuco is champion of the world here at Grand Prestige League Season number 6 in the World Elite Championship. Nuco has done it. He has led this race from the green lights to the checkered flag, and that is all she wrote for the season. Nuco, take a bow. You are the new champion of WEC here at Grand Prestige League, adding another championship to an already impressive tally.
Yeah, and what a resume it's shaping up to be, too, because this is a extremely prestigious, no pun intended, but this is a very prestigious league that is highly respected around the Gran Turismo community. And so, multi-time champion now is Nuco. Congratulations on the Drivers' Championship. And with these results, I haven't done the math myself, so these are unofficial results that we are saying, but it's, the math is easy enough to do that I can assume not only that Nuco is the champion, but that EXO Aston Martin Racing will be the Constructors' Champion as well. So big congratulations to Illusion and Yuki for excellent and consistent performances all season long. And it's been an amazing championship battle between these two. We have never seen it closer than this, coming down to a virtual tie going into the last round of the season. And Nuco really did a drive worthy of a championship today, as he took P1, both in qualifying, almost got P2 in the sprint race and P1 in the full race. It was incredible, and we'll see if we can, I'm going to send him an invite real quick, see if we can get an interview with our new champion. So do not mind the blue screen that it is likely showing you right now. I am just sending invitations out to some of these drivers really quickly. I did tell them in the Discord server before we started to, if you want to do an interview, make sure your settings are all set up so that we can hear your voice. So chat, let us know if you can hear the Drivers' Champion, as we are now joined by Nuco. Congratulations, you are the world champion.
Hello everyone, thanks.
So tell us how it felt to just go through the whole session between quali, sprint race, and the main race. How did it feel?
I didn't practice a lot this week, but I had the good setup, and I knew with a good qualification it was good to be P1 or P2, and with Whiplash behind me, it helped me to keep a constant pace with high pace, and in the second stint I was a bit scared by him, but it was good, so I'm very happy.
Absolutely, and I'm curious too, because you say you didn't have too much practice time, but you like the setup. Was there any part of the setup in particular that you think made a difference today?
Yes, I think the setup was very important because we had a big wind turn during the race, and I noticed that in practice a little bit. So I decided to choose a conservative setup to be safe with a dangerous wind.
Excellent. Rekus, do you have any questions for our new champion?
All right, yeah, I got a few, but I do want to start off by saying congratulations, Nuco. You didn't win the championship in just this race alone. You have to be consistent round after round, race after race, and overall just, I mean, obviously you're going to rate this season pretty highly because you are a champion once again, but if you had to pick a favorite race from this season, which race would you pick and why?
I think I will pick Monza or this one, because at Monza that was the start of the season, and I had a very good win, and one I'm pretty happy with this one because that was not easy at all with Whiplash just behind me. I think he had better pace overall, but with the dirtier behind me he couldn't pass me, so I think I choose this one at Interlagos.
Yeah, I mean, you had a very good season here. Lots of good moments, lots of good battles throughout the season. It was a blast commentating. So, as of right now, I think you guys got second place in the Constructors' Championship. How do you feel about that one?
I'm happy with the second place because Fairing Ace a bit of a struggle in some rounds, so second place is good. I'm happy with that to be in front of Porsche Racing.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, he may have had some struggles, but overall, it was a pretty good season for the Welshman. But so next season, well, first off, I guess I should ask, do you plan on competing in both the SF500 and or the LOP1?
Yes, I think if it's a match with my calendar, I think I will be here for the LMP1 or the SF championship.
Indeed, yeah. So hopefully we'll see you there. So for the next season, what is the track you really want to see on the calendar? What is the champion's choice for a race next season, either in the LMP1 or SF500 or the next full season of Super Formula?
I don't know yet. I can't tell now. But I think the LMP1. I think I like it on the game, so I think the LMP1.
All right. Well, that is all for me. Once again, congratulations on a championship, well deserved, and go ahead and celebrate because you have definitely earned this one.
Thank you very much. And congrats to Aston Martin racing for the constructor championship.
Well, all right. I believe. I don't.
Okay,
do we have any other interviews?
Yeah, I'm grabbing invitations real quick. We'll see if Illusion wants to join for an interview as well. He might be, having just narrowly missed out on a championship. Oh no, here he is. Illusion, it's good to see you, man, and it's really too bad how that ended up finishing for you. But you drove really well the whole time, despite the result, and what an amazing season overall that you've had. Kind of tell us what happened and how the race went for you.
Yeah, everything felt sort of strange today. Couldn't nail a qualifying lap. Luckily, the sprint race went well. And then starting from P5, I was a bit skeptical I could do anything, but I got up to P4 and then P3 later on, and I saw a chance to possibly undercut. But I blew it. For some reason, instead of pushing overtake, I pushed the wrong button and I lost focus and I got a pit lane penalty. That's basically what happened. So
That's heartbreaking.
I pushed the wrong button, then I lost a bit of focus, and then I just skimmed the line at the exit there. And so maybe it's maybe a chance anyways. I was trying to stretch out the stint for new cone, possibly see if I had better wear. But yeah, it didn't really work out today, and that's unfortunate.
It's really unfortunate, and as you know, I'm rooting for you, of course, as we're both EXO drivers. So that's too bad. But we can take away some positives from this, as it's pretty much a slam dunk that we just secured the Constructors' Championship between you and Yuki. So congratulations on a Constructors' Championship once again for the second season in a row as well. And so would you like to take us kind of through the season as well and just let us know how the season went for you and what your favorite race was and why?
Favorite race for me is probably Catalonia, because I felt that was my best performance. And honestly, the season was way tighter than I expected. I think I had a big advantage at the beginning of the season, but I don't know, started off a bit slow at Monza, messed up a bit there, and Trial Mountain messed up a bit again. And with such a short season, it's unfortunate that that can be the difference. But overall, and a good season. And Pixel has been doing great for the team, so really happy that we at least got the constructors, even though I'm pretty gutted I didn't get the drivers championship. But it is what it is, and hopefully we can do something next season or next year or something. We'll see.
And since you are the main organizer of the league, do you have any news or announcements that we could share regarding the LMP series, like a general kind of start date range or anything like that that our chat can look forward to?
Yeah, if everything goes to plan, we will start after summer. So we'll have well, before the summer we're gonna have a special event race, which we had also had last season after the SF season. But we're gonna use the old school F1 car, the new one, and have a endurance race with that. That's probably gonna be next month or after the SWT season has concluded. And then after the summer, we're gonna have a LMP season, possibly with BOP or just very limited customization with the tuning. And then in the winter, or maybe late autumn, we're gonna start the SF season again, and that's gonna be sort of the cycle going forwards that we have from maybe January and so on. We have the SF season, and then after summer we have the LMP or whatever the community votes to have, and then it goes like that as a cycle. So one season SF, and then one season another series, and then we'll switch back and forth going forward.
Excellent. Good stuff, man. Yeah, thanks for participating. And as David says in the chat too, you drove like a champion all season long as well. And so best of luck for next season, as you're definitely going to be one of the main drivers in contention for a championship again, I'm sure. And so, yeah, best of luck to you. And thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yep. All
Yeah,
right.
Illusion. Congratulations. I mean, never mind. He left.
My bad.
Oh well. I was just gonna give him a congratulations on my end, but yeah, I mean, he fought hard this season. So I mean, obviously, yeah, he could be a bit disappointed that he didn't win the championship, but I mean, overall, I agree with Chat. He did drive like a champion all season long, and I think he'll be back next season with a point to prove. And yeah, Illusion is definitely gonna be one of those championship contenders pretty much throughout the entirety of the season next season, like it was this time.
Yeah, absolutely. And now I sent an invitation out to Alex, the German driver who finished P4 today and is maybe even P3 in the standings here. But yeah, we're now joined by Alex. What a race from you, man. Once again, just staying right behind Lucian for the entirety of that race distance. Tell us how the whole race went, as well as qualifying in the sprint race. Just how'd it feel today?
Yeah, I don't feel really happy because it was basically going shit. In the sprint race at the start, I got. Let me be careful with my word choice. Yeah, I got really annoyed because the others kinda just ran into me and nearly tried to take me out. I felt like Whiplash, and also unfortunate dive bomb by Pixel cost me a lot of positions and time. So yeah, I hoped the race would be going better. The pace was good, but unfortunately, my plan was to let by Illusion, and so he could like tow me into through Whiplash. But yeah, that really didn't work out well. And I tried then also to overtake him in my frustration. But yeah, there I just wasted my overtake, and yeah, that cost me really the position of Whiplash.
I see. Well,
Really
despite
annoyed.
that, you had really good pace all race long, and it looks like the chat are massive fans of your microphone. They're loving it. But real quick, take us through the season that you've had, and what was your favorite race of the season?
Deep Forest.
Very nice.
Clearly Deep Forest.
And oh yeah, because you won there. Congrats on your wins as well this season, by the way. Multiple race winner this season. So you are in a good position as well, maybe even to fight for a championship next season. And
Yeah, I mean, it's of course an if question, but I believe I think I was at least on Nuko's pace, but I can't say now if I could have passed him or not. That's, yeah, finished where I did. It is what it is.
Indeed. And Rekis, do you have anything for Alex here?
I will say, Alex, I mean, congratulations on the podium, but I will say that you have definitely evolved a lot since I first commentated for any of your races. There was always a lot of jokes about you being involved in a lot of first lap incidents, and now here you are fighting for race wins in multiple series, mind you. So I mean, congratulations on. I mean, you've improved a lot this season, and I really think that you have a lot of potential to become a championship contender starting next season.
I concur.
Yeah, thank you. I hope so.
Excellent. Cool. Well, with that, we will let you go really quickly and get our next driver in here. And, oh, he left on his own. Excellent. All right. Now, let's get Boita in here. Let's make sure he's on my friends list, I hope. And Boita. But yeah, I would say that Alex is he would earn my most improved driver of the season by far. It's not even close. He has refined his skills quite tremendously over the course of this season, as well as in other series.
Yeah, I mean, I agreed. I mean, you can see his performance in the GT3 category over at Hammer's Racing Community, and I mean, yeah, I mean, he's been really solid over there. He has yet to be off the podium in that series, as far as I know, but overall, it's been a pretty good season for Alex, and I think the most improved statistic is one that holds a lot of merit. And yeah, I'm still going to hold by my thought that he is really going to be a championship contender next season.
Absolutely. And hey, Boita, if you can hear me, you should send me a friend request real quick. I'm not finding you in mine, but I would love to give you a quick interview as well. I'm putting my PSN in the comments of the YouTube chat for you so that you can do that real quick. But in the meantime, we'll see if we have any other drivers. Let's get Yuki in here while we're waiting on him, if Yuki is available for a quick chat, because he also has been super solid all season long, basically P5, P6 range all season long. And that's exactly what we brought him on the EXO team to do for us, is to get results right around that range. And he has executed well. We are now joined by Pixel. Good race today, man. You had a really good pace. And I believe that you ended up with the fastest lap of the race, at least at some point in the race. Let me double check. Oh, no, King took it away from you at the last second, but you had really good pace.
Stole it.
Yeah, what a thief. So, but yeah, tell us how that race went for you, the whole session from quali to sprint race to full race.
Well, quali, well, I did my best there. I don't know where I end up. I don't remember. But in sprint, I did a little aggressive there to Alex. Yeah. And around lap 2 I will.
Oh, yeah.
Wide, he was. Yeah, well, that's it for the sprint. And
Yeah, and that in and of itself is quite impressive, as they obviously have tremendous pace. And you were kind of in a race all on your own, kind of just there in P5,
yeah.
not too many people in front or behind, but you maintained extreme consistency throughout not only this race, but the whole entire season. And you did your part in helping EXO Aston Martin Racing secure the Constructors' Championship for the second season in a row. And Voigt is pointing out in the chat that we are not getting any sound from you. So make sure that
Really?
your voice is allowed to set to allow your voice to be shared. But once you do that, now Artura says very soft. So maybe you are audible. Maybe you're just quiet. But regardless, why don't you tell us what your favorite race of the season has been so far, just how the season has gone for you.
I will say round 1 and the last round, like this round.
Oh, yeah. Good. Excellent. And I will pass you over to Rekus if he has any additional questions or comments for you.
Well, Pixel, no real questions from me, but I do want to congratulate you on provisionally getting that Constructors Championship with EXO. Getting the Constructors Championship is definitely not a one-man effort, so you definitely did do quite a lot to help your team out in securing this championship, so want to wish you a massive congratulations on that. Congratulations on your race today, and I can't wait to see what you do next season.
Absolutely. Yeah, we couldn't have done it without him.
I'm going to go crazy stuff.
Go for it.
All right. Thank you, Pixel. And we will see you soon, as I am kicking him right out of the party. And now we're going to send an invite to my newest friend, Nicholas Boita, for a quick interview, and hopefully as well. He did acknowledge my comment in the server about having your voice set to allow, so hopefully he will also be audible. The chat will definitely let us know, though. Welcome, Boita. It's good to see you. Good to hear from you. And a solid result today, P6. Let us know, how did the race go for you today and all of the sessions combined? Okay, well, I'm not actually hearing him either. 1 second. Oh, he's still loading.
Well, I'm not hearing him either, so I don't think it's
Hello.
There he
There
is.
you are.
There he is. We are now officially joined by the Brazilian driver, Nicholas Boita. So, how did your race go today?
I feel a little bit sad because I think my pace today was top 4, top 3. I was very quick, but unfortunately I got some rear rim damage at the start, just like King. So I had to make a very early stop. But in terms of pace, this will probably be the best race of my season, because I was very quick. In the sprint, I was probably the fastest car on the track. I was catching a little bit to New Collusion and Alex. No, Alex was behind. In the sprint, I was catching to King, Newco, and Illusion, but the sprint was very short, so I couldn't do much. But unfortunately, we didn't win the constructors. But next season, I feel we will have a better shot at it.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys have a very strong drivers lineup, and it is extremely close between Toyota and Porsche. I'm not exactly sure who's going to get the P2 at the end of that. The victory from Nuco is going to help Toyota tremendously, but based on your positions too in P4 and P6 today, it's going to be close. We're going to have to do the math and update our audience on the Instagram as to who ends up being P2 in the Constructors' Championship between Porsche and Toyota. But you are always super, super consistent, especially with your tires, as we both refer to you as our resident tire whisperer. So how was the entire season for you, and did you have a favorite race?
I feel like at the start of the season I missed a little bit of pace because I was worrying too much about the tires. But somewhere around Spain or Trial Mountain, I figured I'd try to push a little bit hard. So my tire wear dropped
a little bit, but my pace got really better. If I say my favorite race was probably Spain, because that was one of the most strategic races I've ever drove. And based on pace, I really like Trial Mount. I was managing to keep up with both Newco and Illusion. And I had very much fun in the race.
Excellent stuff. Yeah. And I do think that next year, too, you're going to have a really good shot at it once again, as you're always in the mix, a dark horse for a podium or even to challenge for a race win. And I do expect to continue to see that as time goes on. And yeah, pass it over to Rekus.
Well, I mean, Boita, it was a kind of an up and down season for you, but still, like B23 said, your consistency is still key. And so looking forward to see what that's going to be like next season. A question that I meant to ask the others, but if there's a track that you could add onto the calendar for next season, what track would you add?
The Nordschleife.
Yes. Yes.
Hey, maybe for the SF500.
I would be so down for that.
All right, but yeah, once again, congratulations on your season. Go ahead and relax, take a break, enjoy it, because you definitely earned your results this season. You fought hard, had some good races, good battles, obviously good management, and we will see you next season.
Thank you. See you next season.
And that was Nicholas Boita. And Artura did say he could join as well. So we will give him an opportunity real quick. And I think that will be our last interview of the season for this class, the WEC class. But I do know that I've been talking about this today all day in a very final kind of a tone, like this is the last one. But there's another class, SWT, and that is racing next week for their finale. So make sure that you're subscribed here and that you return next week at the same time. We will have one more race for you guys in the true last race of the season, as I sent an invitation out to Artura, and we will just give him a moment to join up with us.
All right, so actually I'm going to pass this question on to you, B23. What is the track you want to see on this calendar next season? And you can't take the Nordschleife because that was already taken.
Yeah, I would have said the Nordschleife too, but I know that's not going to happen. I would say my favorite tracks are definitely the actual classic tracks. Last time I was asked this, I said Monza, and it happened, and it was the first race of the season, and I won in Monza. So I will say once again, let's bring back Monza, because I'm down to do that again. And we are welcome now.
I just want to see Chaos on Diego Norwan, but we'll see.
Oh, that's a diabolical track. Now we are joined by Artura. And Artura had an interesting season in the WEC class because he is a reserve. Normally, he's a full-time driver in SWT. And so we would expect that he would be a little farther back in the grid and just kind of trying to gain as much experience as possible. Today he DNF'd, but kind of just take us through what happened not only today, but throughout the whole season and how it felt for you.
Well, first race of the season, I was as a second sub, which was interesting to say the least. Yeah, first race was not that awesome. He had a quite an iconic moment with Declan in the first race and the last lap to push him over the line. Until that point, I wasn't really active in the WEC season until the last race, which had to come to an end, unfortunately, with an injury as a result.
Oh, yeah, and that does bring up the next question, which is, despite the knee injury, do you think that you're going to participate in the season finale of the SWT class where you are a full-time driver for Project Zero?
I'm gonna try at least. I'm gonna need a lot of payments though, but I'm gonna give my best to give it a shot.
Indeed. So if you guys want to see a drugged up Artura in the finale of, then you're going to want to tune in for next week.
Please no. I don't want to embarrass myself again.
Yeah, but even still, it's all right because you have had a really good season in SWT, returning to form, showing good pace, and at times showing top level pace even. So we are looking forward to see what you can do next week. And I'll see if Rekus has anything additional for you before we wrap up the stream and the WEC season.
I just want to say, Artura, unfortunately at the final race of the season ended the way it did for you in WEC, but hopefully I wish you nothing but a speedy recovery and the best of luck for next season. Hopefully we'll see you at SWT, but if not, do take care. I know injuries are not fun in the slightest, and hopefully you do recover soon.
Yeah, I hope so too. It's gonna be drugged up for the entire race, most likely.
We might have an Alex too here. I'm kidding.
Oh yeah.
Please no. I'm not German.
All right, good to see you, man. Thanks for joining, and we will see you soon.
Yep, thanks for having me.
Yep. All right, so that is the interviews that we will have conducted for today. But like I've said many times, make sure that you've liked this stream and are subscribed so that we can come back here for the finale of the SWT class in the same exact circuit and format. We're going to have another reverse grid sprint race at Interlagos. It is going to be intense. There are championships to play for as well. So a lot on the line, a lot of points up for grabs. And follow us on Instagram at Grand Prestige League so that you don't miss any of the updates. We will be posting the final tallies for our championship standings in both the drivers and constructors. So make sure you go check that out as well. I've been B23, and with me as always is Rekus, and we will be back next week.